Affairs meeting to order. Time is 7:07. We're only dealing with one topic this evening. This is order number 05-100713, and this is from the communication from Attorney Gadbois for MHQ Municipal Vehicles, 235 Boston Post Road, West, to amend the zoning ordinance to allow outdoor storage in the business, commercial, automotive, and limited industrial districts if it is incidental to one of the permitted uses in the zoning district in which the main building and lot is located. Further, outside storage must be adequately fenced and screened from the street and adjacent properties which are a solid fence of sufficient height to obscure the materials stored therein. This is referred to the Planning Board and the Urban Affairs, and you had a public hearing the 14th. This evening, we also have some various notes. We have an attached amended ordinance from Attorney Gadbois further defining outdoor storage, and I believe that we all have that. Yep, we all have this.
It's all in the packet.
You have that, Larry? Okay, and I think I will probably read the amendment to it. It says, ordered that the City of Marlborough Chapter 200 zoning ordinance as amended is further amended by amending Section 200-17 Table of Uses, Business Uses, Outdoor Storage by changing LI, Limited Industrial District, from N to SP, and further to amend Section 200-18, Conditions for Use as noted in the Table of Uses, Section 17, Note 26, by deleting Note 26 in its entirety and inserting in place thereof the following.
You want me to read it for you?
Yeah, if you would.
Thank you.
I'm having a tough time reading.
Outdoor storage. Outdoor storage, but not in auto junkyard, may be permitted in the business, commercial, automotive, and industrial districts if it is incidental to 1, the permitted uses in the zoning district in which the main building and lot is located. Outdoor storage is allowed as necessary, allowed as an accessory use in a limited industrial district only for light, non-nuisance manufacturing and assembling of specialized vehicles for use by municipal, state, and other public agencies. Further, the outside storage must be adequately screened from the street and adjacent properties to obscure the materials stored therein.
Okay, so that was the amendment as you submitted. Also attached, I have an email from Solicitor Agaritzis advising that the amended ordinance would not require an additional public hearing or re-advertising. And actually, I got two here. It says,
There's two sets of language, yeah.
Yeah, there's several things in here. It says, Dear Attorney Gadbois, I reviewed your proposed zoning change, and it meets with my approval from both a legal standpoint and what I believe would satisfy the fears of certain councilors. That was as of this evening.
Did you get that?
At 6:38. Yeah, I think you just got this.
Oh, okay, great.
That's probably in your mailbox right now,
Okay.
Council.
If I might comment on that last email, originally the change that I had submitted to the Planning Board did not contain the phrase as an accessory use in the limited industrial district. I think that was always intended, and sometimes you don't see the forest through the trees. And as I was reading it again, I said, gee whiz, you know, someone could interpret that to mean that it's not an accessory use, and that's why I put it in there. And that's why Jim wrote the last comment, because that was based on the insertion of that last phrase as an accessory use.
Okay. I know that all the councils did not get this, so I'll make sure that you all get a copy of this.
Thank you.
Okay. Also attached is a letter from the city planner, Planner Lima, addressing the revision to the proposed ordinance. Yeah. Councilor, could you please?
I have reviewed the revisions to the proposed zoning amendment. Those revisions now include strictly defining what additional outdoor storage uses are allowed in limited industrial district and adds an accessory use limitation. I believe that these revisions address the issues outlined in my March 7th memo, particularly the concern related to the amendment possibly resulting in the spread of inappropriate outdoor storage uses in an LI district. The narrow definition of the allowed storage will result in its limited application elsewhere in the district. If you have any questions about this recommendation, please do not hesitate to contact me.
Okay, thank you, Counsel. And also, we have an attached letter from Maura Webster in support of the proposed ordinance. Did you receive a copy of this?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Dear Chairman Clancy, due to previous commitment, I am unable to attend tonight's Urban Affairs meeting, but wanted to share my thoughts with you. First and foremost, I, along with Councilor Pope, met with MHQ personnel and residents along Elm Street in an area surrounding the particular property that sparked this zoning change. After our productive question and answer session, residents left feeling confident in the uses of this particular parcel by MHQ and were supportive of their quest to move to the facility. Looking back to my notes of that meeting, of particular interest to the neighbors was the lessened number of vehicles that would be traveled to and from the building on a daily basis. This is mainly because the vehicles will be outfitted most often come in bulk shipments during normal business hours, and the number of employees MHQ would have would be significantly fewer than any company moving to an office building of that size. MHQ's hours and means of operation and deliveries was acceptable to the residents, and they were willing to work with the neighbors in creating appropriate fencing and buffer areas between parking lots, storage lots, and backyards. This change would permit restricted outdoor storage in an LI zone by special permit. As an urban affairs committee and as the City Council, we have the authority to restrict such use by not approving such permits whenever we deem it potentially detrimental to the surrounding areas. To those who may say that from previous experience the Council passes almost every special permit that comes before it, I have to question whether or not in those cases was the Council truly doing its job. Were the best interests of the land, neighbors, and the city looked at in those instances? If so, then yes, those permits should have been granted and were done so justly. If not, then it's entirely another issue, not one of law, but one of action or inaction. As the amendment has been rewritten, I feel that the limitations are in place to prevent harmful use in an LI-zoned areas that would not be appropriate for certain outdoor storage uses. The strict definitions enable businesses that have been quality assets to the City of Marlborough to continue to be good neighbors and operate in accessible areas of our community while maintaining the integrity of our neighborhoods. Sincerely, Maura Webster, Councilor Ward 5.
Thank you, Counsel.
You're welcome.
Saves my breath. Okay, also, because this involves the entire city, I had passed out to all the city councils. I had it prepared by the GIS portion of the engineering department, and it actually outlines each of the each ward and as how this will impact every ward. I don't know if you want to see one of these, Council.
I have a copy of it.
Okay, you have a copy.
I have the big
Okay.
map, too.
Okay. One thing I did do is that I had them specify the number of total acres that would be impacted, you know, because this is a zoning change
Sure.
that covers all LI in the entire city. And if you really take a look at it, councils, wards 3, 4, and 5 probably would bear the most impact. You know, Ward 3 with 20% of the ward under limited industrial, 592 acres. Ward 4 with 1,066 acres, or 42% of the ward. Ward 5 would have 506 acres with 34%. Then Ward 6 with 188 acres with 14, and Ward 2 would be 171 with 7% of the ward. So the biggest impact probably would be in wards 3, 4, and 5. Wards 1 and 7 both escape any limited industrial. There are no limited industrial areas in those two wards. So I had them prepare this just so you get an idea of where each and every limited industrial area would be in your wards. So because it is a concern, I know of most councilors, if this wasn't worded properly, you know, we could have the spread of outdoor storage through the entire city. You know, and that's not really the intent that we really want to look at, because mostly outdoor storage is allowed in the industrial area.
That was made clear at
Yeah.
the public hearing, and that's why the rewording of the ordinance to narrow it down so that it wouldn't have the proliferation that Al Lima mentioned in his original memo. And the whole idea was to certainly restrict it. I think it passes the sniff test, so to speak. And it, again, we have to keep in mind that it is an accessory use, and it's an accessory use to a very limited, kind of
Now-
manufacturing.
Then, of course, there comes various questions that people have hit me with, and could, you know, I don't know if your business would be outfitting, making earth movers, or any type of large construction equipment.
No, we do mainly would be pickups, dump trucks, town sand trucks, plow trucks. Most of that's done.
Bucket trucks?
Done indoors, excuse me?
Do bucket trucks?
No, we haven't. Most of it's just like a dump truck, a 6-wheel, 10-wheel dump.
Okay.
That you would plow your streets with. That's what we use on the sand vehicles there, and most of those are done indoors. When they go out, they leave. They're not even there. There wouldn't even be a storage issue with those.
Yeah, because, you know, the poor parcel of property that you own down on, it probably doesn't really refer to this, but the parcel of property you own down on South Street, one of the problems we had was testing of sirens outside.
Yes, and that was not with it did not have anything to do with the truck division.
Yeah.
That was a separate part upstairs that we had done for an overflow of vehicles and had issues with employees. But the trucks do not have sirens in them. So there should never have been any testing or any sirens down there.
Yeah, I know it doesn't pertain at this point, because if we do pass the zoning request, you would then have to apply for a special permit.
And I suspect we deal with those issues very similarly to how we dealt with the first time
Yes.
you came for
Yes.
this permit.
Yeah.
Because I know that was a concern for me with the residents on South Street. And we put in very specific language about the testing of outdoor sirens, and saying it would be done indoors, it would not be heard outdoors. And so I'd obviously want to make sure for the residents of this area that those same provisions are put in and that
Yes.
you all are amenable to that.
Yeah,
The particular subject was of great interest at the neighborhood meeting, and the folks walked away pretty comfortable that, with the answers that they were given, and pretty much know who to call now, so.
We have a shunt that we put on to test them, and test them indoors, so that they can run them. There's no reason to run
A
them
what that
outside.
you put on
It's
them?
a shunt, that siren box that we had showed at
Oh,
the
right,
meeting,
okay.
that you can actually hear. It's like a stereo set, and you turn it down, so you can actually hear it. There should not be any testing outdoors. There's no need for it.
now, I know that has nothing to do with at this point, we might be looking at this later. Do you operate 24 hours a day?
We operate on emergency cases, sometimes 24 hours a day, but it's not a full 24 hours. If there's a car that needs to be done, or a small town that can't wait, and it runs into 9, 10, 11 o'clock, they'll wait for it to be finished and leave, but it's not a steady 24 hours, and it's not outdoors. It would be 1 or 2 employees inside that would be working on a car, because the amount of time it takes to do all the wiring for them. And some towns only have 1 or 2 cars and can't tie them up.
I noticed, when you go down and take a look at your operation you presently have down on Route 20, you have many cars outside, This requires that you're going to have to encircle them in some sort of fencing.
Yes.
You presently don't have fencing down there. And is this for security reasons?
No, the reason just it's the location there, and most of the property on Elm Street is covered with trees and everything else, except where it abuts the back part of the neighbors, and on that side, we're really not parking vehicles there. That's employee vehicles. The parking's on the back side and the far side where there's total screening of trees.
As I go into the property, you come in, and then it goes up the hill to the right. There's a series of parking lots that go up, that step up the hill.
That's
And
employee.
there's a large parking area there, and then you go around the building, there's another large parking area over
Yes.
on the other side.
Yep, the large parking area up on the side, not the tiered side. That goes up would be employee parking. And for if there are employees on the other side of the building that we don't lease. Our parking would be up on the far side.
So you actually be behind the building. So you probably wouldn't be able to even see it from Elm Street.
In this particular case, the building, part of the building would be that screening. And then there would have to be fencing on other parts of the property where the building doesn't obscure it.
Yeah, we had discussed with the neighbors, and we would fence the property there anyways, on the side where the houses are, but most of the parking is going to be up on that far side and then around the back of the building.
Counsel?
The language in this rezoning, outdoor storage is allowed as an accessory use in a limited industrial district only for light, non-nuisance manufacturing and assembling of specialized vehicles for use by municipal, state, and other public agencies. To the best of your knowledge, how many other companies are there out there that are municipal, state, or other public agencies that this would fall under?
We do police, fire, water departments, and then the only other one that we've done in the past and have asked would be like Comcast,
No,
or,
Comcast doesn't work.
okay,
Comcast wouldn't, that's not a public agency.
okay.
So statewide,
How many other agencies?
how many other companies similar to
Yeah, you wanna know how many
MHQ is what I'm
well,
asking?
competitors.
Competitor-wise, there really isn't any. There's some small dealers in the area that do them out west. There might be 2 or 3 others, but at the size that we do, there isn't anybody that does a complete.
Okay, and then David, this question is for you, and it's a difficult one to ask, so it's not going to sound the best. This is a very good project for this piece of land, and the reason that all of the land across town needs to be rezoned is because it would be spot zoning if
That's
we just
correct.
allowed this to go in there. How is this not spot zoning with this language?
Oh, because it applies to every lot
But
in
isn't
the
it-
city that's in the LI district.
But is this language tailored specifically for this company?
It's not specifically tailored for a particular piece of property. That's what spot zoning is all about.
Right. You know what I'm trying to get across.
I know
here.
I know what you're trying to get at. It just happens to be that they might be one of the very few companies in the country that do this kind of work. But so be it. It's certainly a specific kind of thing. I guess an example of what you could do is your zoning will allow a hospital, okay, in a particular zone. Now, a hospital is one of a kind, right? It contains offices, it contains several different kinds of things in it, but it's a hospital. And unless, if you had a, let's say a facility, I'm trying to think of the word, a medical office building, okay? Where you have doctors and they perform procedures and so forth, but if it doesn't have a hospital license, it can't exist in that zone where a hospital is allowed, but they're not allowed. But yet they do the same kind of work.
Right. Well, the reason I'm asking.
And that's what I'm saying. You know, this is kind of akin. Is this tightly drawn? Absolutely. Your zoning ordinance can omit specific kinds of things from appearing in a zone, and it can allow specific kinds of things. A zoning ordinance is, the validity of a zoning ordinance is sustained, okay, so long as there's a substantial relationship between the furtherance of the public health, public safety, and welfare. And the presumption is always in favor of the ordinance, right? And unless you can show, if it's fairly debatable, right, then it will be sustained as to whether or not it's a valid ordinance or not. The one thing that, in this particular case, I mean, there really has been no objection that I've heard of for this particular use at this particular, and the ordinance as it's currently phrased. There's a fairly short statute of limitations where if this is not appealed following the 90 days of the final advertising following passage, then we can't even go to court,
Okay.
you know? And it's not...
Well, obviously,
This is somewhat similar to, if you remember when they did the 3-com ordinance to pass the ordinance so that you could put 3-com there, very similar to this.
And I understand that, and I just want to be sure, because obviously there is a significant amount of LI land in Ward 4.
Correct.
And I just want to be sure that, you know, we're not potentially opening up
You
the
know,
rest of the area. A lot of it is already developed, so.
To be honest with you, I think we may also want to get the city solicitor's opinion on that. I know he said it was okay for advertising and everything, but we may just want to seek his opinion on that, because if we're going to open it, you know, if we're concerned about
Exactly.
opening it up, I think we want to get something from the city solicitor too, that if someone were to challenge this later on, that it couldn't be opened up, that just outdoor storage is allowed, and there's no definition on it, so we might want to do that.
the only challenge could be the validity of the ordinance. I mean, there couldn't be a challenge that says, okay, because you've passed this ordinance, we can now have other kinds of businesses with this.
Right, no, I recognize what you're saying, I just think for our comfort, I would like to get that from our
In
lawyer.
writing.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's fine.
Can I?
Go right ahead.
I'm sorry.
Counsel.
And Counsel, I don't know if you were done, Counsel.
Yeah, no,
Paul,
I'm
sorry.
all set. Go ahead.
I will say, it has given me greater comfort that originally Mr. Lima had obviously had some reservations about this and had expressed some opposition to us, and that he submitted to us a new, based on your revisions here, a new recommendation that he could now be in favor of. I know last week I also asked Building Inspector Reed if, based on the new language that you submitted, if he could give us whether it changed his initial recommendation or not, because his initial recommendation was against. I haven't seen anything this evening that changes his recommendation one way or the other, and I don't know if he hasn't responded yet, so I would like to reserve
We had an opinion today.
from Mr. Reed.
Oh, Steve Reed.
Steve Reed,
Oh,
yeah.
excuse
No,
me.
we haven't heard from him yet, and he had talked about some of the zoning issues that relate to it. And since he is sort of our enforcement officer with respect to zoning, I would like to sort of just make sure he's okay with the change, or at least know what his feelings are on it. So I would like to get that as well.
Okay. I will get that. I think Councilor Pope was, mentioned something to me earlier, just in conversation, about the potential for automobile agencies opening up on limited industrial,
Yeah, I mean, it has,
selling
I mean, that has nothing to
cruisers.
do with this use. I mean, this is specifically towards, it has to be manufacturing. It's not a retail operation, it's purely a manufacturing operation where they have to do the work there. It has nothing to do with selling of motor vehicles and so forth. And I know that Councilor Pope had expressed that same sentiment to me a couple of weeks ago, but there's no way you could interpret this
This
ordinance
new
to allow...
language makes me feel much more comfortable, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, it does
It
me too.
really does.
And I mean, I think where it's located, there's nowhere
Yeah, that's,
retail.
well, no, I mean, there's plenty of other allied districts, that's the thing, we're not talking about a specific lot at this stage of the game, that comes with the special permit. We're talking about all of the allied districts and all of the areas that you're talking about.
Correct.
Of course, I think that what you said this evening concerning competition out there, you pretty much are the only outfitter for the police vehicles and various municipal vehicles in this area,
Yes.
maybe this East Coast.
Yeah, and because of the size, you're dealing with a clientele that I think there's 325 cities and towns in Massachusetts. So, I mean, there's not a lot, and by the size and the volume we do, it's tough for anybody to compete price-wise.
Do you outfit vehicles for
Good
the
to
state of
hear.
Maine, New Hampshire?
No, and we may do an emergency basis that we have them, but
Where do they get theirs? You have any idea?
there's usually a small dealership there. There isn't anywhere that's as concentrated as this, other than like New York City, but again, places like that, they don't do the complete that we do, manufacturing.
Where did this concept come up? How did you get into the business? I'm just
It's
curious.
A nightmare I created
Somebody asked you
20-something
to
years
prepare a
ago to
car?
do a complete package, and it's a one-stop shop. And as it's grown because of cities and towns, it's tough for anybody to even compete price-wise because of our volume. That you'd see the difference if you were to go to a local dealer or outfitter or upfitter, that you'd find it quite a bit difference in cost.
Okay. How many vehicles do you actually produce per year, say, of the automobile kind?
2,000, 2,500.
2,000, 2,500? How many vehicles would you have sitting on site, in the process of preparation?
We could have around 500, 600. at a time that we've run into down we are now, but the difference with this facility, size-wise, we're going to a lot bigger building, the turnaround should be a lot quicker. So, you know, I'm sure the numbers will be a lot less.
I have gone out and looked at your operation on the inside. It's very tight
Yes.
presently. Would you be expanding your workforce?
No, it's really, what we're gonna do is just, we would add a few more employees, but most of it, what it's gonna be is give more room to work on them. And we assemble the vehicles in an assembly line. So really what it does is give them, they can work on 3 or 4 cars at a time now, where they can only work on 1 indoors because of tight space. Average car takes around anywhere from 40 to 60 hours to completely start to finish.
Sometime when I was down there, I was wondering how you get the vehicles out of there. You know, you have one finished over here, how do you get it to the door? You have to move a lot of
Yeah,
vehicles
you do,
around.
and that's why you try to assembly, and this new facility will give us, we're almost tripling in size
Okay.
indoors, but as far as being able to do the work and the amount of wiring and time it takes, you can't, it's not a fast production assembly line that you can gear up and do a lot faster, because it's all wiring, takes time, so.
Counsel?
2 questions. On the language of the actual thing here, I noticed that in business, commercial, automotive, and industrial use, in order to have the outdoor storage, it must be incidental to one of the permitted uses. For the limited industrial, we're going to make it an accessory use. Is there a reason why it's not also incidental? Am I just misunderstanding the terms there? Why it wouldn't have to also be incidental to the permitted use?
I think they're synonymous, incidental and accessory.
Accessory.
Okay.
Could we change the language to reflect the same word?
Incidental was the original, I believe the original ordinance had it as incidental.
Right.
What I
The reason
did is
why I raised that is Steve Reed's initial recommendation to us talked about the fact that in the first 3, it was incidental, and that limited industrial is allowed for accessory uses for other things. I guess I don't appreciate the difference between, I'm trying to understand what the difference between the 2 is, and whether we say incidental to and an accessory, I don't know, are they mutually exclusive? That's what I don't understand. I kind of don't get what those 2 terms mean.
Again, what I tried to do in redoing the ordinance is try to change as little as I could, because you already had an existing ordinance. And then when I got to the limited industrial portion of it, there is a definition for accessory use, and so that's why I threw that in there as opposed to incidental. You might even make a recommendation that we change in the first sentence, instead of calling it incidental, call it accessory.
I don't know what that means, though. What does that mean?
What,
I
the
guess?
accessory?
Yeah, what does accessory versus incidental mean? I don't appreciate that difference. I mean, maybe
I'm not sure.
I'm a little bit daft here, but I just can't
I'm not sure what
appreciate
incidental
what that
means,
difference
but I
is.
can tell you what accessory means, because it's described in your ordinance, and that's why we.
No.
No.
An accessory use is a use customarily incidental, so I guess that's what
Okay,
the
okay, because
ordinance.
that was kind of my, I didn't understand why they were using incidental in one and accessory in another. So it is one of the same. It sounds like, okay.
This is one.
Incidental and
The
accessory.
use customary incidental to that of the main building or the use of the land.
Maybe one thing we should, when we're asking the city solicitor just for his opinion as to whether this could open up, is which is
term
which is
we should use.
preferable, incidental or accessory.
Incidental.
We just want to make sure.
Maybe be consistent instead of
Exactly.
calling it incidental in the first sentence.
Call it
Would call
accessory.
that accessory.
Right, but I just would want to get an opinion from the city
Accessory.
solicitor if changing that is okay.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like,
We wanna change
that
this
we're not missing anything.
In other words, change that to incidental to accessory.
Yeah.
Correct.
Right.
Vice
And
versa,
then,
correct.
the permit, so in other words, what you're saying, if it is incidental to one of the permitted uses in the zoning district in which the main building and lot is located, outdoor storage is allowed as an accessory use in, yeah.
We want those 2 words to be the same.
Okay, so we
If
just
the-
changed
yeah,
the.
yeah, or at least
accessory
ask the
to it.
city
If
solicitor,
it's
is it okay to
accessory.
make them the same? If there is some appreciable difference, have him tell us that. My understanding of the 2 words is kind of the same, so
think
that's,
they are.
yeah, that's what,
Yeah,
okay.
okay. I'll have them,
And then my second question,
Sure.
as you know, we as a committee, Urban Affairs, last year spent a great deal of time on this special permit, only to find out a few months later that the deal fell through, exactly. Now, we're actually going through a process where we're not only looking at a special permit, but a zoning change. And my question to you is, I do not want to find us in a situation where 2 or 3 months later, the deal's fallen through again, and we've made a zoning change. So my question to you is...
I feel.
I understand probably your deal is subject to getting appropriate permits and everything, but is this going to be a deal, or are you still trying to work out the economics of it?
No, we've actually come to an agreement with a lease on the property, and we have builders that have gone through, given us prices and everything on the building to do it. And so we have priced out everything, and actually what we're into now is we're paying a percentage to hold that building.
Okay, and do you have a signed agreement subject to getting
We
these
have a
approvals?
signed agreement, and it's subject to getting the permits by, I believe it's the second week in July. And we are paying substantially to hold that building.
Okay.
So we have a,
Could you extrapolate a little on the terms of the leases? How long a term is the lease?
I believe the lease is a 15-year lease? 15-year lease.
15 years?
15 years. So in other words, that's all pending as of the 1st of
It's
July?
all subject to getting
Approval
these.
of the permits?
Yes. And a deadline, I believe, of the second week in July is what we had set, and the cost to hold the building.
Who is the present owner of the building? Who is the present owner of the building?
Cliff Shore?
Capital Risk Management, oh, no, is that who it is? No, that's the guy.
Cliff Shore would be.
Well, it's
Sure.
CJS Holdings 2, Inc.
CJS
Holdings 2, comma, Inc.
Cliff Shore.
And then the only thing I would add is, one thing that this committee has been trying to do in the last couple special permits is making sure that
Excuse
the
me.
taxes are paid on the property that are be subject to a special permit. So you might want to just make sure that that's taken care of before you come before us on the special permit.
I suspect,
I suspect they may be already paid up. I just
I
give that to
suspect
you.
they are only because...
We do look into that
I
now.
think he just bought the building this past year, and so they would have been...
Oh, right, when they
if there was,
closed, yeah, that would have been, okay. Just so you know that is an embarrassing issue at the time of
Sure.
the special permit.
Okay, so basically what we're looking for is a solicitor's opinion in the challenge, if we have a challenge to the ordinance. And secondly, we are also looking for the building inspector's opinion on the change in the ordinance. Okay, so those are the two things.
Can I just add on the solicitor's opinion? And if this could potentially open up in the future to not just the limit of this definition, but someone could argue for an expanded definition. Do you know what I'm saying?
Okay, so in other words,
If there could be any possible challenge in the future to expand this definition,
if future,
right?
Yeah,
challenge.
broader interpretation of...
Right, broader interpretation, someone could argue, well, this is too limiting and you got to open it up type of thing.
We also want the solicitor to look at those two terms.
Correct.
Yep. Yep. So in other words, we're looking for these three things. Incidental or accessory, the terminology, are they the same or are they different?
Correct.
And
Steve Reed.
Steve Reed, yeah, I have that as the building inspector's opinion. Okay, so those three. Okay, so anything else that you would like to add this evening?
No, I guess one of the things that, as you just heard from him, we need all permits, which would include building permits, special permits, and the whole thing by early July. I'm wondering if there's, I'm not sure when your next council meeting is it?
28th,
20,
then after that is the 11th.
Okay. It would be nice if we could get it reported out on the 28th, which would probably require a meeting of this committee on Monday. Soon as, yeah, that would be Monday. And then it's going to sit on the table till the
Yeah.
11th.
See, we don't, we don't have another meeting scheduled until next Tuesday evening, 29th.
Okay.
So you might be looking at reporting it out on the 11th. Council.
If we can fix the schedule, I mean, I wouldn't have a problem meeting on Monday evening for this issue only for these questions answered.
Sure.
I don't want to get into a situation where Attorney Gadbois is going to ask us at the next Urban Affairs meeting the day after to consider reporting it out under a suspension. I would much rather
Well, that's what
report it
I'm-
out and let
that's-
it lay on the
yes,
table
that's
for
what I
2
was-
weeks.
That's what I was driving at. I didn't want to have on the
Exactly.
11th making that request, because I know what your feelings are on that, and I respect those, so,
I'd like to add something in. I'm not going to be at the 11th meeting.
right.
I'm going to be on vacation, so that could be a problem.
I'll see.
Would you consider meeting Monday evening?
Absolutely.
I have
No, we have...
The Veterans
we have
Affairs
Veterans
meeting at
Affairs
7,
meeting at
so we
7.
and I'm gonna need
6
the,
o'clock?
Well,
Would that-
I can't do
Yeah.
six.
Can't
Oh.
make,
Yeah,
Scott
I
can't
make
make
six.
it for
That
6.
means I have to take a
and I
train
had
at
people
4.
coming from Boston.
No, that's understandable.
And the meeting after the 11th is 25th?
I don't think...
You
that-
do then have all well, presumably you would have all counselors at the 25th meeting. I don't know what your concern is about but as Counselor
25th, yeah.
Clancy pointed out, I mean, there's one less person from the committee certainly at that meeting, so, unfortunately, we have these two outstanding questions. I mean,
Right.
to me, getting
No,
Commissioner, and I mean, in all fairness to you, I did ask Karen, our secretary, to ask Commissioner Reed last week, so I haven't received anything in a week, so, I mean, it's no fault of yours, I understand, but I would feel more comfortable once I get it from him.
I mean,
And I would feel uncomfortable voting on a zoning change under the suspension of the rules.
and I'm not asking for you to do that.
Okay.
No, you can still report it out on the 11th. And
Right.
then vote on it
Yeah, then it sits
On
on
the
the
25th.
25th.
on the 25th.
We are having an extra meeting in June, aren't we? Am I right on that?
Right now, we have an extra
We
meeting in
have
June.
an extra meeting in June, so it does give you an extra
scheduled.
sort of time to catch up with
But
that.
then he has to file for the special permit.
I've got a special permit that we have to go through, but
Well, we can only do a motion to advertise, can't we? We have to advertise this still, too.
You have to advertise it.
I mean, it'll be close. I mean,
What we could-
I
what
think
we-
the special permit process, if this were to pass, all right, I mean, the special permit, we've been through it once, as far as the council is concerned. I think I could have
I think that, yeah, I think.
suggested, findings and everything started, right away, so that, I mean, we're not recreating a,
Exactly, we have been through
Right,
it
we've been
extensively
through all
once.
be
this.
able to
Yeah,
get through
exactly.
that process
Yeah.
a little quicker than normal, so.
If I can just make one suggestion,
Yeah.
we could still meet next Tuesday.
Sure.
With this issue, get it done. Report it out on the 11th, but we could do, I just slow this out, it's just a suspension on the motion to advertise.
I would not have a problem on the suspension for the motion to
Because
advertise.
that gets you, because we have to advertise anyway, so
Yeah.
it's going to take time anyway, it's not going to
But
be
it
done.
takes how
quickly.
many days to get it in the paper?
Isn't it like 10 or something like
It's
that?
like 10 days, and there's, 14 days in between.
So that way it gets you on the
meetings.
process on the 11th, so we're at the 25th.
I don't know if
Move
you have
it
to
along.
advertise after it's passed, or if you can advertise before it's passed.
We'll check.
Yeah.
Well, I have to find out what the turnaround time is on the advertising with the city clerk. You
Well,
know, I
we
know
could,
that some
even
zoning
if it were to pass on the 11th, we
don't
could
think it needs to be
probably
advertised.
start our special permit process then,
I don't think we need to advertise it
you know? If you pass it,
for the purpose of
Yeah,
advertising.
that's what
No,
I
it
think
hasn't-
too, yeah.
Have it in the
appeal
can, ready
periods
to
haven't
go.
gone, we can at least get that started.
Yeah,
It's just a
file the
time frame.
documentation for it.
Just logically, I would think
Yeah.
that you need to advertise before it's approved. That's the purpose of advertising.
I would think, yeah. I would-
No, it's for purposes of appeal, I think. Yeah.
Oh, so they don't
Oh,
care whether, they
That's a
don't,
good point, too, yeah.
No, I think,
Appeal for-
That's the-
it's advertised after it's passed.
Is that the running of the appeals time from the time it's
Pardon?
advertised?
You can't-
Is the running, does the appeals period run from the time it's passed or from the time it's advertised?
Advertised,
Yeah. From the time it's advertised?
yes.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean you can't start other processes in the meantime.
okay.
Okay.
I think the long and the short of it is we'll try to expedite as quickly as
Oh,
possible, but I think we're
appreciate
we're just gonna have to meet on Tuesday and deal with it. on
That's
the 11th.
obvious. I mean,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
There's absolutely no question.
It's just a,
Okay.
If Mr. Clancy weren't so sickly, I mean, it would be,
Yeah, I know it.
We'll give him
he's
this
doing a good
weather.
job tonight. He's,
You wouldn't want me last Tuesday.
No, I know.
No.
So, I guess, do we have anything else?
Okay, this is the only thing, only thing.
Motion to table?
Okay,
Second.
motion made and seconded to table, all in favor? Motion is tabled, and we'll meet again next Tuesday evening at 7.
Great. All right. Thank you very much.
Motion to adjourn,
Second?
all in favor? Okay. Meeting
Thank you.
adjourned.